Goggins, how come you don't stop and then talk to us?
So if you ever gone to the mall, there's this store called Build-A-Bear. So why the hell am I out here in Nashville, 90 degrees, running with 7 layers on? He pulls his car by me and says, why the fuck are you out here? Let's say it's day 1 of a job interview. We all know what that fucking shit feels like. Think about when it's hot outside, that it's sunny and 70. Well, it's fucking not today. It's 44 degrees and it's nice and rainy outside. But no one cares about that. It's about 100 degrees out here, 70% humidity. There's so many times in life you don't want to be doing what the fuck you're doing. Never forget to train your fucking mind. In life, a lot of us work our fucking ass off. The mind's a medieval motherfucker. Whenever life gets hard for us, they tell us it's all okay. Take it home, be happy of it. Yeah, I'm talking about Build-A-Fucking-Bear right now.
He's not too busy where he can't sit down for 30 seconds and record a video. But he has someone drive alongside him to capture a 20-second shaky video of him like yelling at the camera. I'm like, why is he doing this? Obviously it's entertaining, right? But it doesn't seem like a David Goggins thing to do something just because it's entertaining. So I went way too deep into all of David Goggins stuff to give you guys the 4 reasons why he runs while he talks and why that matters to you at all. Reason number 1, the proof is in the pudding. So before he became famous, Goggins was asked by the military to become a recruiter. He would visit high schools with the mission of convincing young people who, according to Goggins, have a sensitive bullshit detector. They could see when you were feeding them something that wasn't 100% true. You may remember your class being spoken to by a Marine recruiter back in high school. Kids were rounded up, put in the gymnasium, and the Marine, was in their classy blue dress uniform, speaking about how good the Marines could be for you and rah-rah. But this was not the case with Marine recruiter David Goggins. The kids would find him not standing there in pomp and circumstance, but in sweaty clothes, hanging from a pull-up bar. He'd begin speaking to them all while doing pull-ups, and the words he used weren't nearly as important as the image of the man before them and the conviction in his voice. So with those on display, he, was proving he's still the embodiment of the things he was telling them. He's showing them that he lives this lifestyle every day. It gives him the things he wishes he had when he was a kid like them, and they can have it too. Like, look, here's the proof. Here it is. But if you're a kid watching this happen, this is just a show, right? I mean, these are just a guy doing pull-ups. For all you know, this is the hardest he works all week, and he does it just for you kids. So one time there was a kid who needed to see it for himself. He came out to see Goggins doing an ultra marathon. Goggins is about to cross the finish line this day. He was dying inside, of course. Any normal person would have finished the race with their head down, sucking wind, crossing the finish line, falling down immediately after. But Goggins forced himself to cross the line in a trot. He pressed the timer on his watch with his shoulders back and his head up because he says, you never know who is watching. What you can learn from all this is that it's the actions that are unbeknownst to a person that are the most believable. They spread through the grapevine the hardest and the fastest. Needless to say, this kid was sold on the mindset that Goggins was selling, and he would spread it to many others. His running while talking obviously does this in the same fashion. And here's Goggins to explain exactly that point.
I cannot practice about mental and physical hardening. Callous in your mind, callous over the victim's mentality, without doing it on a daily basis. How that voice gets louder and louder and louder is you keep on practicing what you preach. If there's ever a day you don't practice what you preach, that voice will get softer and softer and softer. A lot of us who are out here trying to motivate, who are trying to inspire people, we do it off of our couches. We do it off of what we used to be, not who we are. So once I stop being who I am, you'll know, because I'm going to shut the fuck up. Because I'm no longer living that shit every day. You're like, hey, what happened to Goggins? Oh, Goggins must have fully retired.
Reason number 2, running creates a different zone for Goggins than just sitting still. Just like you have experienced many times, Goggins is most in the zone when he's on a run or working out. There are many ways you can enter the zone, whether it's through a basketball game, some competitive atmosphere, It has to require pain and your effort to break through the pain. Once you reach that barrier and you choose to break through it despite the pain, that's when you're in the zone. And this is where you can have some of your most clear and enlightening thoughts. You can have thoughts similar to this in less intense circumstances as well, like in the shower or in dreams. But for the most purified, distilled instances of this, you can do it only during runs and other things that produce pain and this barrier I'm talking about. In his book, Goggins talks about how he ran a 24-hour race. It was 100 miles for the whole distance, and that during that time, he lived 1,000 lifetimes for that one day. What he meant by that is, for each roller coaster of pain and respite and strength and weakness that he felt, he lived what seemed like an entire lifetime. At the end of each of those, or during them, he would have extremely clear thoughts like you do when you enter the zone. But let's be real, you're doing that, once a week? Whatever the case, Goggins knows that this is the best way to get the clearest information out of him. So he takes advantage of it during his runs when he has his best thoughts. But remember, running isn't the only way you can do this. Wim Hof, for instance, uses the freezing cold as his paint and canvas in order to paint his masterpiece of clear thoughts and enlightenment. He says it's less about the action itself and more about purposely seeking discomfort. So if you've dunked yourself in freezing cold water, it's easy to understand that you're probably not going to be thinking about when you asked out your crush 3 years ago and went horribly wrong, or about that project you have due next week. You're freezing cold. You're thinking about here and now, this moment. And you would think that that would be a really chaotic time for your thoughts. But if you sit in that moment, that's how you get the most peaceful, productive thoughts that you can have. And it's the same with Goggins on the last leg of his run. That's when he has his clearest thoughts. Reason number 3, when you're in the zone like this, it's absolutely captivating. It's not only interesting because Goggins is running instead of sitting on the couch somewhere. It's also the feeling you're getting from Goggins. People tend to mirror how people are acting and feeling around them. You'll notice when other people are having a good time, it's easier for you to have a good time as well, and vice versa. If you're walking down the street and you see someone quickly look into the sky, you're probably going to join them and look in the sky as well. So if feelings are so easily transferred like this, it's easy to see why David Goggins would run and be in the zone while he talks if he's trying to translate this feeling and information to everyone else. This idea is spoken all over the place from all the most important people, but it bears repeating because it's so important. So I'll quote another legend who has said the same thing. Music is like magic. There's a certain feeling you get when you reel and you spit and people are feeling your shit. This is your moment, and every single minute you spend trying to hold on to it because you may never get it again. So while you're in it, try to get as much shit as you can. And when your run is over, just admit when it's end. Eminem is in a completely different area of work, the creative space, but he still used this zone and obtained it. And Eminem's numbers speak for themselves. He's one of the most captivating people out there. You can even tell in which works he's more in the zone than in other ones. It's no wonder that every diss track you hear by Eminem, it makes you want to run through a brick wall in the middle of it. He's just so in the zone at that time, and it's so captivating. So if you're ever trying to convince somebody of anything, which, let's be honest, you're trying to do all the time, every day, then the best thing you can do is be in the zone for it. That's when you're at the peak of your infectious energy, where you have sure body language, the crescendo of your voice is just right, your eyes are showing purpose, your energy is being transferred to the other people. Comedians and people really good at giving presentations do all these same things. They try to get in the zone. But don't run a marathon before you go up and give a presentation, okay? You can just warm up, do everything you can to talk to as many people as you can before you give a presentation. I would also recommend this before dates. It takes away a lot of your nervous energy. Just talk to people. Talk to people that you know first, then talk to random people on the street, and then start talking to groups. And then by the time you get up on stage or get to the date, you're feeling great, you're yourself, and everything is very infectious and good. So whether you're David Goggins or Eminem or some random dude on a date, do what you can do to get in the zone. That's when you perform best, and that's when you're most convincing. That's when you're most likable, and that's when you're most influential. Reason number 4, pretty simple. You might forget. How many times in your life, whether you're high or coming out of the shower or waking up from a dream, did you just have the most eureka moment, the best idea ever just popped into your head? The kind of stuff that people put into books. And then it's a couple hours later and it's gone and you don't remember it. Or you do remember it and it just doesn't seem the same. Just because you thought of something great doesn't mean it's going to last longer in your brain. Your options to keep that going are either 1, write it down, you dummy. 2, use spaced repetition, like when you're studying, to remember it. Remind yourself of it every few hours or each day. Or 3, pull a David Goggins and just record yourself while you're thinking it. I know Goggins is almost superhuman, but his thoughts bleed out of his mind after he thinks them, just like everyone else. And this is another important point. Write down your big ideas. Who knows, it might be the next ShamWow. So why is this important to you? When could you use this information? How about any time you're confused in your life? Yeah, what utility could really clear thoughts that cut to the core of things help you with? How about any time you're confused on anything? So the next time you find yourself unsure about something, take that long run, or meditate for a long period of time, or take a cold shower. Whatever it takes for you to hit that barrier so that you can enter the zone, so you can have those clear, enlightening thoughts. When else could you use this information? If you're trying to convince anyone of anything in your life, which you're trying to do constantly on a regular basis, whether it's your dating life or respect from your coworkers, or cracking a joke, or selling a product, you're trying to persuade people all the time. The most optimal time to achieve that is if you're in the zone. So don't just go from lying in bed all day watching YouTube videos to standing up on stage and giving a presentation. Don't go to a date after playing video games all day by yourself. Instead, warm up before you do those things. Get to that peak infectious energy that you feel from people like Eminem in a diss track or David Goggins when he's on a run. But, maybe with less yelling. And finally, it's important to cultivate the best things that your mind has to offer. Do this occasionally, and make sure you write it down afterwards, or in David Goggins' case, record the video while you're doing it. Otherwise, you're capping your potential of your creativity and your thoughts and the impact that they could have. If you're instead constantly stimulating your mind and attempting to find comfort in your bed, you won't be able to crack into those great thoughts that you have deep down. And once you have them, don't let them float away. Don't let them bleed out. They're precious. That's why David Goggins speaks to us while he runs. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, check out our podcast. It's called Unprofessional. It's on every platform. Spotify, Apple, what have you. Link is in the description.